Hi everyone, let's dive into writing tip number one. Take a look at the sentence on the screen. I am having a hard time forgetting my ex boyfriends, my cat, and my dog. What do you think is the meaning of this very simple sentence? Does it mean A, the person cannot forget his or her ex boyfriends, which happens to be a cat and a dog? Or does it mean the person cannot forget three items? His or her ex-boyfriends, the cat, and the dog. So pause the video for a minute and write on the comment section, what do you think is the meaning of the sentence? Is it A or B? Go ahead, pause the video and participate in our discussion. Thank you. Actually, the previous sentence can mean both. Having said that, it means that even a simple sentence like this can be ambiguous. That is, it may have two or more meanings. And ambiguity is something that we want to avoid when we write. Because sometimes the ambiguity may just be hilarious or funny. However, sometimes it may be scandalous, and in one case in the US, it cost a $5 million lawsuit. So here are some examples. Let me read. Rachel Ray finds inspiration in cooking her family and her dog. This news item may mean number one, Rachel Ray is cooking her family and her dog, and that is gross and cannibalistic. Or it could also mean Rachel Ray's interests are one, cooking, two, her family, and three, her dog. So it's not clear. In another example, the reputation of Nelson Mandela is ruined. Let me read first. Highlights of his global tour include encounters with Nelson Mandela, an 800-year-old demigod, and a dildo collector. This statement may mean number one, Nelson Mandela lived for 8 decades. He was a half human, half god, and interestingly, a collector of dildo, which is something that you may want to Google the meaning of. But I think the writer of this news wants to say that the person who had his global tour encountered important beings. Number one, Nelson Mandela. Number two, the 800-year-old demigod. And number three, the dildo collector. But it's not clear if you'll just read the statement. Here is the last example. I would like to thank my parents, Bill Clinton, and Lady Gaga. So this third example is so self-explanatory, I will not explain further. The crucial question now is how to avoid this ambiguity if you will list three or more items in a sentence. So here is writing tip number one, use serial comma correctly. So what is a serial comma? This is a special type of comma that is used if you will list three or more items in a sentence. However, let me clarify that not all writers, not all publications agree on the use of the serial comma. You may happen to read news or some publications that may not use this. That is also correct. I'm not here to say that these are wrong. Again, the use of serial comma is a matter of style. However, for academic and legal writing, this is used. And for our subject, reading and writing, since this is academic, you need to use this. I hope that is clear. The serial comma is also called the Harvard comma or the Oxford comma. This comma will make it clear for your readers and will help you avoid ambiguity, just like in the previous examples that I've shown you. This serial comma is also a serial killer to those who do not know how to use it. So you better continue watching to know how to use this correctly. So when to use this special comma? Number one, if you are listing three or more items in a sentence. So if your sentence lists only two items, you don't need to use a comma. When to use a serial comma? Another condition that you need to have is that it can be used for both. If you are using and or in your list. So not all and or should have a special or a serial comma before them. Make sure that you are listing three or more items. So there are two conditions that you need to have. Number one, in your sentence, you're using and or in your list. And number two, the second condition is that your list should have three or more items. So let us read the example. Jesus told him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. In this example, Jesus is claiming three things. Number one, he is the way. Number two, he is the truth. And number three, he is the life. So he's not just claiming that these three are found in him, rather, he is the embodiment of these three. So in this sentence, the serial comma is placed after the second item. Look at the arrow, and before the conjunction and. In example number 2, Jesus does not claim that he can be another way, a piece of truth, or another way to life. Rather, he claims that he is the only way, the only truth, and the only life. So aside from the conjunction and, it can also be used before the conjunction or. So just make sure that if you are listing three or more phrases or items before you put a comma before after the second item. In this example, let me read for you. How blessed is the person who does not take the advice of the wicked, who does not stand on the path of sinners, and who does not sit in the seat of mockers. This passage is describing a blessed person. Again, there should be a comma before the conjunction and if you will be listing three or more clauses just like this one on the screen. So let us summarize. A serial comma is called Oxford comma, used if you're listing three or more items, and placed before the conjunctions and or. Hope that is clear enough, and hope that it will help you avoid ambiguities in your next sentences. So for your task, write 5 sentences about biological science that require a serial comma. Be sure to satisfy the 2 conditions that I gave in this video and submit it on Google Classroom. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great, productive, and peaceful day, everyone. Take note, I wrote that with a comma on my notes. Bye-bye.